Across to the United States, where Antony Blinken, the U.S. Secretary of State, is currently addressing in a speech. Let's listen into what he has to say.
Thank you, Minister Jaishankar, for convening this important meeting and for India's leadership on terrorism and counterterrorism. Not only is the chair of the United Nations 1373 Counterterrorism Committee, but also of the 1988 Taliban Sanctions Committee, as well as the robust engagement in the 1267 Committee on ISIL and Al-Qaeda. As we mark 14 years since the horrific attacks of November 26th, we join people in India and around the world in mourning the lives lost. 141 Indians, 6 Americans, and victims from 15 other countries from every region of the world, as well as many Mumbaikars, Americans, and others wounded, with scars visible and invisible. We stand in solidarity with the people of India and all nations that lost people on that day. But we must do more than mourn. We have a responsibility to the victims and to people everywhere to bring justice to the perpetrators of the Mumbai attacks, including their masterminds. That's what the United States has been working to do, together with India and other partners, for the last 14 years. Because when we allow the architects of these attacks to go unpunished, we send a message to terrorists everywhere that their heinous crimes will be tolerated. Many members of the Security Council, including the United States, have adopted our own sanctions against the terrorists behind these attacks. But our accountability efforts are more effective when we act together, which is why we've worked with India to put forward nominations to designate several terrorists through the UN 1267 Committee. All relevant parties should support these designations. No nation should stand in their way. Beyond ensuring full accountability for 2611, we also have a responsibility to prevent future attacks like it. That requires addressing new and emerging threats, such as terrorists increasing abuse of technologies and the internet to finance and plan attacks, store assets, and radicalize and recruit members. The United States is working with the private sector to address these vulnerabilities, from getting financial technology companies to enhance and enforce policies aimed at preventing their illicit use, to helping platforms ensure that they're not hosting terrorist content and spreading hate. But we can't do it alone, and we're ready to work with all governments, multilateral bodies, and companies in this effort. Minister Jaishankar, fellow council members, as we reflect on the immeasurable loss of 2611, let it be a reminder to all of us of our unfinished work in holding accountable the perpetrators of its horrors and averting future terrorist attacks like it on any of our people, anywhere. Thank you.
All right, so that was the U.S. Secretary of State addressing at the Counter-Terrorism Committee meet in Taj right now of the UNSC that's taking place. Let's quickly go back to my guests, Mr. Ashok Sajanhar and Pathikrit Paine. Pathikrit, if I could bring you in on what the U.S. Secretary of State just had to say. He's made some very, very significant remarks. Of course, very serious at the same time. Let me quote some, that no nation should stand in the way as far as giving protection to such heinous crimes is concerned. And when protection is provided to such heinous crimes by various member states, it's only sending the wrong message that such crimes are tolerated. What do you make of what Secretary Blinken had to say and the kind of support that India is getting from the United States, especially on the issue of counterterrorism?
Well, I hope Mr. Blinken was also mentioning about his own country and the kind of support that the United States gives to Pakistan. The only country right now who is working overnight and with a lot of enthusiasm to bring Pakistan out of the Financial Action Task Force grey list has been United States. And at the same time, it is the same country which is going to United Nations Security Council under 1267, Al-Qaeda sanctions to put sanctions on Talha Saeed, who is a son of Hafiz Saeed, and Hafiz Saeed is himself a product of the deep state of Pakistan and ISI, which have been a cradle of all kind of terrorism that has destroyed and created havoc across the world. So frankly speaking, United States, actually I find it amazing to the level of double standards the present Biden administration can actually go around with, and at the same time put forward a very smart face. Frankly speaking, United States actually uses Pakistan's use of terrorism as an instrument of statecraft. It benefits them, and that's the reason I think what Mr. Jaishankar mentioned today is very commendable. They had to bring those tape out in public to tell to the world that these are the evidences that has been given to these organizations for the last 14 years, and still they didn't do anything. What has the United States done? The United States, in terms of taking action against Pakistan, has now released Pakistan from the Financial Action Task Force grey list. A country which which is on the verge of bankruptcy during grey listing also did not, abandon terrorism. Do you think the same country, when it is brought out of Financial Action Task Force listing, will abandon terrorism? Absolutely not.
All right,
so the reality
Patikrit, you've raised some very valid points over here when it comes to the so-called double standards of the United States. I'm going to bring in Mr. Ashok Sajanhar as well on that. Mr. Sajanhar, while we are also talking about the double standards of the United States, especially when it comes to, aiding Pakistan to come off the grey list of the FATF, let's also not forget the kind of role that China has played as far as blocking the joint proposals of India and the United States at the UNSC are concerned. And how significant today's meet is, because let's not forget that this is the meet where we also have the Vice President of the FATF present and the Chinese representative as well. So I'd also like you to talk about the role that China has played.
Yeah, China's role has been very negative, and that is basically designed both in terms of what they call the iron friendship between Pakistan and China. Pakistan has really become a satellite state of China, so it feels absolutely essential that it should protect Pakistan under any and under all circumstances. You would recall that the whole question of designation of Masood Azhar, that was with the UN Security Council for about 10 years or so, from 2009 when this first proposal was made, and China put a technical hold on it. And then after 4 technical holds, it decided to agree to remove that technical hold, basically because countries like the United States, UK, who had taken this proposal to the UNSC, they said that rather than getting this discussion bogged down only in 1267 committee, they will call up China in the main Security Council and ask for its
and for the benefit of our viewers,